Hello and welcome back to another episode of Market House. My name is Caleb.
And I'm Caitlin.
And we are so excited to be recording today. It is episode 41, recording a day later. You won't notice that because it all goes up on the same day anyways, but for good reason. We spent our day in San Francisco yesterday at the Walt Disney Family Museum.
Yeah.
And you surprised me with that trip. It's, I don't want to make it a big deal or anything, but it's my birthday coming up next week. And you had a fun-filled weekend planned for me. I didn't know until Friday night what we were doing.
Right.
All you said was, hey, you're going to go to bed early because we got an early morning tomorrow. And hit the road, hit no traffic on the way down there.
No, it was great.
It was amazing. And we went to the Walt Disney Family Museum. We went to Muir Woods and spent time outside and saw the sun. I feel like a vampire because all we do is sit inside because it's so hot.
So hot here.
Because we escaped 100-degree weather. It was 60-something degrees down there.
It was so nice.
How is it that an hour and a half drive, an hour and a half, you can be from 100, 105 degrees to 60 degrees?
Well, I mean,
I know.
the bay.
I get that. I understand the geographical whatever, but it is unbelievable to me that an hour away you can just escape.
Oh, it's crazy. Like, I could have worn a sweatshirt with a jacket with shorts and sneakers. Or not shorts.
Shorts.
Pants. Pants and sneakers.
I could have worn a tank top with pants.
No. Like the whole shebang with a beanie. It was cold.
It was pretty chilly. I
Yeah.
think you were just not used to it. I think other people were like, come on. Don't be a baby. But we're going from 100 degrees to 60 degrees, so it was a little culture shock.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you can be a little...
But I loved it. I had my Disney sweatshirts because again, you get all this cute Disney merch during the winter.
I know.
And you're like, oh great, I
finally
can't wear it
bust it
forever.
out.
Yeah. And I had my Disney sweatshirt on yesterday. I was loving life.
We were
It was
Disneyed out.
so good.
It was really fun.
We look like the ultimate tourists going to the museum.
I know. People were like in all normal clothes and
I
stuff
know.
and we're like Disneyed out.
Hey, you got to do what you got to do.
We do. So we will be talking about that today in our main segment. But before that, we've got some news to cover. But even before that, if you can, just a short little request, simple request, please head over to Spotify or Apple Podcasts and leave a review, leave a rating. That would help us immensely, immensely. It would be such a help for the podcast. It just helps people find the podcast a little easier, just due to the weird algorithm. I'm not going to try and explain it, but Apple's got a way with things. Spotify, it promotes blah, 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 and encourages you to leave reviews. So if you can do that, that would be amazing.
Yeah. And again, just as simple as just let us know what your favorite thing about the podcast is, or even as simple as doing a star rating.
Yeah. And if you're like, dude, get rid of that Caleb guy. He sucks. If that's it, leave it.
Hopefully not.
I mean, I'd hope that's not the case.
But
share your
yes,
thoughts.
We would love that. We're still looking for our first review, so we're so excited. So please, if you do have time, it would help us out a lot.
Let's dive into the news.
Let's do it.
All right. For our first news story, we've got some unfortunate news, and it seems to be happening often, unfortunately, at theme parks around the country.
Yeah.
But another fight broke out over in Disney World. This one I didn't really want to report on the other ones because they're little scuffle things that shouldn't really be newsworthy because things happen. People lose their temper, unfortunately.
Right.
I'm telling you, it's that humidity and that Florida sun. It riles people up.
Yeah.
But again,
Still.
chill out, people.
Yeah.
Chill out.
It's
So
Disney. Come on.
I know. I'm not going to dive in too much of it because it is a bunch of negative junk. But on Wednesday, July 20th, two families kind of got in a scuffle over in Disney World. Unfortunately, it involved a few people getting arrested.
Yeah.
And one person was
got
hospitalized.
hurt.
Yeah. So again, I don't think this is official news from Disney. They don't really report or say anything on these things. But it's reported that it was all over someone returning back to the line after going to the bathroom.
Which is very odd to me.
Again, I don't know if we're getting the whole story.
Probably not.
We're probably not. But what was reported in the news was the party behind them took exception to someone leaving the line to go use the restroom.
Yeah.
Came back into the line. Some shoving happened,
Yikes.
yelling and fighting. So again, for the love, people, you're at a theme park. Chill out.
Let's keep the magic at Disney, everyone.
Yes.
Keep the magic.
No anger.
Keep the negative.
No violence.
No.
But yeah, that was Disney World.
Bummer. That stinks.
Does stink.
Especially because there's little ones around.
I know.
and
It's messy.
It's not good.
So again, if you're losing your temper, if you're feeling like you're going to lose it, go grab a Dole Whip. Sit down.
A Dole Whip.
Take a breather.
A swirled donut. I almost said donut.
A swirled Dole Whip.
swirled Dole Whip.
Orange and vanilla.
Or go get those pizza
pineapple
egg.
vanilla?
What are they? pizza
Egg roll things.
pizza egg rolls, right?
I don't know.
That doesn't
I don't know what
sound
they're
right.
called.
They're like no, I don't think they're called egg rolls.
The East Coast folks are like, what the heck are they talking about?
The trackers always get it. It's the
Yeah, it's a pizza
something, and they look absolutely amazing. I almost said disgusting. What's wrong with me?
I don't know.
They look amazing, seriously. And there's
They
like
do.
a sauce. Oh gosh. And there's hamburger spring rolls.
Spring rolls.
Yes.
Egg rolls.
Not
probably
I'm like
the same
pizza
thing.
egg rolls sounds
I don't
gross.
know.
That's probably why I said disgusting.
We have turned a news story about a fight into spring rolls.
Yep.
So there's
Fine.
always a silver lining.
Find your happy place.
Seriously. All right, that's enough of the negative news. Let's dive into the other stuff.
All right, next up we have some Magic Band Plus news. Magic Band Plus is finally releasing this month over in Disney World on the 27th,
Yeah, so just a couple days after this episode comes out,
which is crazy.
it'll be here.
Finally, I feel like they announced it like
They
5
did.
years ago.
It was a long time ago.
Yeah.
And they said Disneyland will get it later this year.
What?
Do I believe that? I don't know.
I don't know.
We were told that we were going to be able to renew our Magic keys soon.
Oh, dun, dun,
Yeah, I know. That's a soft subject
soft
with Caitlin.
subject.
Touchy subject. So we'll see what get it later this year means, but I don't know.
But there's some pretty cool features that come with them. One being that they light up while you watch Harmonious at Epcot and Disney's Enchantment over at Magic Kingdom, which is pretty neat.
Yeah.
I mean, I like that. I mean, it reminds me of, the bubble ones that like light up. Kids are like holding them
Yeah.
during the shows. I don't know. I think it'd be cool
And
to have it.
Do you remember the ears that used to light up during
World of Color?
No. Yes. World of Color. But it premiered as the oh gosh. You're going to kill me if you know what I'm talking about.
Paint the Night?
Paint the Night. It was a Paint the Night
That's right.
Yes.
They had the paintbrushes
They
too.
had the paintbrushes. They had ears. So this is like existed before.
That's kind of cool. Yeah. I mean,
On your wrist.
it's okay.
Are you going to notice it?
I mean, probably not.
Okay.
If I hold my hand up in the air during the show.
Your arm's going to get pretty tired.
But yeah, it's kind of cool.
Yeah, pretty cool. There's a new game that's being released with this new Magic Band Plus called Star Wars Batuu Bounty Hunters. Guests can join the Batuu Bounty Hunters Guild in Star Wars Galaxy's Edge at Disney's Hollywood Studios using their Magic Band Plus to find numerous virtual bounties hidden throughout Black Spire outposts. Guests will follow the band's light patterns and haptics to complete their mission. Then they will return to the local guildmaster who will reward them
Okay.
with galactic credits.
Whoa.
Can you turn these into anything? I've got no idea.
Probably not.
They're all, here's 3 cents, little girl. Go get yourself a lollipop. I don't know. I couldn't think of something.
Wow.
Guests can embark on the Disney Fab 50 quest, a scavenger hunt throughout the 4 Walt Disney World theme parks using Magic Band Plus to help spread pixie dust and interact with the golden character sculptures.
That's kind of cool, I have to say.
Yeah.
That's neat. I love those golden character statues.
Yeah, they're going to unlock digital achievements, including an augmented reality feature. So yeah, there's a few cool things. Am I going to rush out and buy one of these bands tomorrow? Probably not.
No.
But if we need Magic Bands, I wouldn't mind upgrading, if that makes sense,
Yeah.
to these because they look cooler.
I love our Magic Bands, though. I have our previous Walt Disney World trip, I got the blue Monsters Inc. one with the Scream canister
Yes.
on it. I love it.
That one's cool.
It's so fun.
I went with the just the simple gray,
No,
and I have a
green.
green one. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Green one's cool.
I like the
I like
green
it. And then, of course, pink. But yeah.
Okay, that's it with Magic Band Plus.
All right, so last week we talked about the Hollywood Tower of Terror sign being removed, which was in front of the entrance of Hollywood Studios. Now we have yet another sign being removed in Walt Disney World. It is the Mickey and Minnie welcome sign, which is located on the corner of the SR 535 in Hotel Plaza Boulevard, which for those who don't know, I have no
We have
idea
no idea where this is
what
at.
that is.
So really quick, why Florida do you guys name your things SR 535? Would you call it that? Do you go, oh yeah, you take a left on SR 535, go down to the Hotel Plaza Boulevard?
Okay, I guarantee they don't say it like that. It
Man.
sounds very well. Right when I read that, I thought it was Star Wars. I was like,
No.
is this a droid? Yeah, I have no idea where the sign is, but it's when you're entering Disney property at some point, which
BB-8 and SR 535.
Okay, stop. If you listened last week, you know that I was annoyed that they took out the Tower of Terror sign.
I
This
know.
sign, I'm like, I don't even know where it is.
Really?
So good for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, again, I think this is a bigger deal for people over in Disney World.
Right.
But yeah, I think they're just kind of cleaning house, maybe making it look prettier. Again, who knows? They may replace it with something even better. And the landscaping that they keep referring to of like, we're replacing it with landscaping.
It's like, wow.
It may look good. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's news because, and you know what I just noticed? All three of these first news stories are all Disney World.
Crazy.
A lot of East Coast news.
Stuff's going on.
All right. Let's, next news story is West Coast.
Yeah.
Let's get into it.
All right, next up, we again have some news on the West Coast. This one was kind of interesting only because I'm still trying to figure out what happened. I don't really get it. I thought it was fake at first. But over at the Jungle Cruise in Disneyland, the water was like bright pink.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking like, oh, it was a little pink. I'm talking it looks like someone literally dumped like magenta pink paint in the water and like swirled it around like watercolor.
Mm-hmm.
It was crazy. So this happened on July 18th. So it happened about a couple weeks ago. No, a couple days ago.
You're all over the place.
What day is it?
It's the 24th.
Okay, yeah, it's like a week ago then.
Yes.
Yes.
Going from 2 weeks ago to a couple days ago.
Yeah, sorry, my brain is
Now 1 week.
But yeah, no, it turns out it was a totally normal event that happened. It's just a treatment they do throughout the year, and it just so happens that we've never seen this. No pictures have ever come up.
I don't know. The only thing I can think of is they usually do it overnight, and for some reason they had her do it during the day, but they did shut the ride down for quite a while to let the stuff dissipate. I'm assuming it's not great for human consumption, so if a kid stuck their hand down the water, I don't know. So to be safe, they closed the ride down for a while they treated the water, let it clear up, and then continued the ride as normal. All right, in our final news story, it has been news heavy this week. We've got some Comic-Con announcements. This just came out. I'm kind of glad we waited to record because this all came out last night.
Oh, yeah, it was crazy.
Crazy. This is overwhelming. Again, I'm probably going to miss a couple things. I apologize in advance. If you're a giant Marvel fan, you're like, excuse me, sir, you missed the the upcoming Ant-Man movie. I apologize. I've got no idea. Sorry.
Okay.
I'm just messing around. But lots of Marvel announcements at this year's San Diego Comic-Con. I Am Groot got a trailer. Apparently that's a show coming out. I don't know much about it. I just can't believe I'm saying I Am Groot.
I love I Am Groot.
I know, but I can't believe he's getting his own show. We've got Spider-Man Freshman Year, a new animated series coming to Disney Plus in 2024.
Okay, so question about that. Is that similar to the Spider-Man movie that we love? I'm forgetting what it's called. The animated one that I loved.
Spider-Verse one?
Yes.
I don't know.
With Miles Morales.
Yeah.
Love
you know
that
what?
one.
You're asking the wrong guy.
Okay.
I've got no idea.
All right.
Sorry.
It's okay.
We've got Black Panther Wakanda Forever. A trailer was released for that, and you watched it.
This makes my heart sad.
I know. It is really sad.
I'm very interested to see what they do, I guess, starting the movie with Chadwick not being being here anymore. It's even so sad saying that because I loved him as an actor. He was amazing. Yeah. So I'm very curious what route they're going to take with, again, removing his character or what they're going to be saying with him in the film. Yeah. Because, again, he never got to film this movie, so he's not in it at all. So I'm interested to see how it goes. True.
They released information on the rest of Phase 5, which, again, I think you probably know this if you're listening to this podcast, but Marvel's got different phases for their movies. So, there'll be a chunk of 7 movies, part of Phase 1, Phase 2, and they loosely all revolve around the same premise or same thing they're fighting. So, Thanos was like Phase 1 through 3, I guess, in a way. I don't know much about it, but I watch the movies and we enjoy, but we're definitely casual fans when it comes to Marvel. So excuse me, this is going to be a lot of information. I'm just going to go through it quickly so it doesn't take up too much time. We've got Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania coming out February 17th, 2023. Secret Invasion, a new Disney Plus show coming out in 2023. Guardians of the Galaxy, Volume 3. This is what I'm excited about. I love the Guardians movies. Mm-hmm. This comes out May 5th, 2023.
And then we have Echo, which is a new Disney Plus show coming out summer of 2023. Loki, Season 2, which only Caleb is excited about.
Whoa, rude.
Disney Plus show coming out in summer of 23. And The Marvels, which is coming out July 28th of 23.
Yes. And did you mention that Loki was Season 2? Right?
Yes.
You did. Sorry. I must have blanked out there. But yeah, Loki looks awesome.
If I didn't, it's Season 2, just in case you remember.
You're pretty confident in that. Yes, I did. You mentioned the Marvels. We've got Ironheart, Disney Plus show coming out fall 2023. And I believe Ironheart is a character in Black Panther.
Oh, okay.
So I'm, again, apologize because I don't know everything about Marvel, but I know that for sure.
Okay.
We've got Blade, November 3rd, 2023. Agatha, Coven of Chaos, which we are so late, but we're just now watching WandaVision.
And we're on episode 5. I love it.
WandaVision.
WandaVision. All right. And then we
Give me on. I'm just kidding.
And then we have Daredevil Born Again, which is also a Disney Plus show coming spring of 2024. Captain America New World Order is May 3rd, 2024. And Thunderbolts, which is coming out July 26th, 2024.
Thunderbolts. I have no idea what this is. Fantastic Four is going to be released on November 8th, 2024. This kicks off Phase 6 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Holy smokes, there's like a million Marvel movies coming out. It's overwhelming, to say the least. And Fantastic Four, this is like the 4th or 5th attempt to make this movie good. All of them have been horrendous. So this is Disney's first crack at a decent Fantastic Four movie. Finally, the last Phase 6 news we have, all they let us know was that it ends with 2 Avengers movies. We've got Avenger, The Kang Dynasty, May 2nd, 2025, and Avengers Secret Wars, November 7th, 2025.
That's very interesting to me that they're doing 2 Avenger movies in the same year.
Again, I think it's,
that's really weird.
Ooh, you're right. So I wonder if it's like, wait, did we get... Endgame was all one movie, right? It wasn't Endgame Part 1 and Part 2.
No, just one.
Ooh.
That's why I'm kind of like, I'm hoping that it doesn't turn into the Star Wars saga where everyone kind of was like, okay,
Super
we're done
overwhelmed.
for a little bit. Because 2 in 1 year, like that's a lot.
I agree.
I don't know. I'm just like thinking
I know.
in my mind. I'm
It's
like,
a lot of Marvel.
Don't rush anything because by the way, we saw Thor, was not a fan.
Whoa. Okay, hold on.
Yes.
We did see Thor Love and Thunder.
And I love Thor, which makes me so sad. It was okay.
Yes, Ragnarok was amazing. An amazing movie. So following that up with something was a tough order
Yeah.
for poor Taika and crew. And yeah, this one kind of fell flat. It was good. At the end of the day, it was a good movie.
It just wasn't Ragnarok.
It was not Ragnarok. And it was a little goofy on the humor and there was a lot of it. And Thor felt a little like dumb, I guess.
It was weird. Not his normal Thor self. Let me tell you, Christian Bale, I loved it. I think they could have utilized him more.
True.
Natalie Portman, it was cool seeing her back, but I feel like they could have done way more with the characters.
I think you're right.
So that's just my take on it. But other than that, try it.
Really quick, last note on that. He did say, Taika in an interview, said they had over 4 hours of footage that they took down to 2. So maybe in the editing room, it kind of fell apart. I don't know.
Either way, just go see it. And
it's worth seeing. Yeah. Yeah, on a big screen, it was like visually awesome.
Oh, it was great.
It's a Marvel movie. Yeah, fun to watch, but yeah, not as good as Ragnarok, but still an enjoyable movie. And again, I don't know how we started talking about Thor, but we did. Okay, enough about the news. That was a lot this week. Thanks for hanging in there if you did. And let's go ahead and dive into the Walt Disney Family Museum. All right, and that brings us to our main segment of this week's episode, and that is all things Walt Disney. Everything about the Walt Disney Family Museum. This is a fun trip. So we're giant Disney fans. We talk about it on a podcast, so you can say we're pretty big fans. And this is like the quintessential trip for a Disney fan. This place is awesome. It's a must visit for any fan. And this is our second trip, and we still learned more things. Yeah. So it's definitely worth the trip once every couple of years just to refresh your knowledge on the museum and everything Walt Disney did. It is a fantastic time. Just a little history and kind of background on the museum. This thing is located in San Francisco, more specifically, the Presidio of San Francisco, which is a beautiful area.
So beautiful.
Yeah, it's near the Golden Gate Bridge. So the backside of the museum has a full-on view of the Golden Gate out there.
Yeah, it's all glass, and you just walk through this like little area.
Very pretty. It was started by Walt's daughter, Diane Disney, in 2009 and has expanded to 3 total buildings. This thing's pretty stinking big.
And it's well done. It's not just like that old, like thrown together museum. They did a very good job at it. It's very pretty inside.
Very well done. So we wanted to share our personal favorite things about the museum and also list some of the things we learned during our visit. Again, I thought I knew a lot going into this trip because, again, I pride myself on Disney trivia stuff. But let me tell you, I am a novice because I did not know half the things that I read.
Oh, same.
In these exhibits. Yeah.
And
It was
there's
amazing.
so much information.
So much information. So lots of fun to have there. Let's talk about some of our favorite things first.
All right, let's do it.
Okay. So here's my first thing. Seeing Walt's personal things was awesome.
It's a very surreal moment.
It's weird because, again, we idolize this guy, right? So, and like, for good reason. He started this amazing company, and it's all the things we grew up on, and it's like nostalgic, and it's all these crazy things. So you think of him as like this, like, I don't know. He's just this like larger than life figure, right?
Yeah.
And then seeing his things, you're like, oh, he was a normal guy.
Yeah, there was I don't know, would you call it a chest? Or what is it?
Yeah, they called it a chest in the museum. It was just a little box, a wood box.
Yeah, almost like it would compare to, you know what, like, I don't want to say
Like
a jewelry box, but
yeah.
like for guys that you'd put on the desk and you'd kind of, like, he had his personal like watch in there. It was a pocket watch. And he had like little things that he'd put on his ties and like pictures. And it was just so weird. Like there was a pencil in there.
Yeah, it was a pencil. There was a picture that Diane drew for him in there. It was really cool.
It looks like he literally just picked it up and placed it there.
Yeah.
It was so interesting to see that.
Very cool. They had a pair of his eyeglasses there.
Yeah.
They had his old skis, these wooden skis that he had purchased and used to go skiing. Really cool. Like,
or the big standing cameras that they'd used to film.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, from his original couple of companies and stuff. It was pretty stinking cool. Why don't you share one?
Yeah. So first, I am a huge on animation, like especially when we go to the parks. Like I love doing the drawing, like all the Animation Academy experiences. I like seeing how one thing goes from like stage 1 to the ending phase, which was what we see like public wise. But the evolution of Mickey Mouse from like the drawings to cartoons was absolutely amazing. You know, seeing it start off as like Oswald and then to the Mickey that we know now, it has changed so much. Like it's dramatic.
Yeah.
And, you know, throughout the exhibit, they also showed like Snow White, because again, that was a big one. And like all the animation of Snow White, like her character, the evil queen, like the 7 dwarfs. Like it was just, I love seeing all the different shading that they did, everything on like all of the animation that was framed. They had like, they were labeled by like numbers. So you could tell like what sequence of events or what area it was supposed to go in for the cartoon. It was just amazing to see.
Yeah, and I think the difference with the talent of these people. So you could, all these still images, right? And it wasn't like an animation to where, you know, like the machines in like Disneyland and stuff where you can like spin it and it moves and stuff. And you're like, oh, that's how animation's done. It's a bunch of pictures and blah, blah, blah. No, this was like all like maybe 6 or 7 still images.
Yeah.
But every individual drawing, you could see their personality. You can see a different emotion being displayed. It was really cool. And again, it's just the talent of these animators and just what they were able to bring to
and again, putting that on paper in the right location. Like you can't just draw it anywhere. Like it has to have order.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? So
Really
it's just
cool.
It was amazing to see.
Another cool thing that we saw, it was the correspondence between him and Roy. So they had all these letters that were sent back and forth between the two through Western Union. This is how old they are. It's when you used to go to like a little telegram and they'd send it by whatever, post or by like courier.
Yeah.
Or it was unreal how they used to do things back in the day. But again, it shows how normal they were. And he was just taking care of business. Like just there were little like personal things of like, hey, update on family member, right? Or hey, I'm in St. Louis visiting so-and-so.
Or I'm having a meeting with this person.
Exactly. Or hey, someone needs to get paid. Make sure they get paid. Or hey, we just got paid for this thing. I'm transferring. It's just like
it was crazy.
The everyday business of an early Disney company, which was really, really cool to see. And they have all the original telegrams on display, which was so awesome. Yep.
I loved it. Just straight out of history, it felt like. Another thing that I loved is they had a lot of the old Mickey Mouse merchandise on display. And for your part, if you're like, what does that mean exactly? The merch we know now is not even close to what it was back then. Like they had Mickey clocks, Mickey telephones. There was little scrapbooks that you could buy of like the old Mickey Mouse. There was a very cool like old vintage bike that they sold with like Mickey Mouse on it. It was just, there were so many little knickknacks and statues. And, you know, now we think of, oh, let's get ears. Or let's get a mug, or let's get a sweatshirt. It wasn't like that. It was more focused on like toys and items and, hey, this is a calendar, or it's just so different. It was so cool to see it. There was this massive just glass framed enclosure with all the different merchandise in it. It was so neat to see.
Very cool.
So love that part.
And yeah, and if you're wondering, like, oh, great, you're describing things I can't even see. So we'll have a lot of this stuff on Instagram. So
all throughout the week. There will be reels going up of the museum, and then there'll be posts as well. So
yeah,
stay
so hopefully
tuned.
that's kind of a visual aid for you guys to kind of follow along with kind of what we're talking about, so you can give a kind of a picture to a description. They have an absolutely giant Disneyland diorama right in the middle of this room. And it was built specifically for the museum, and they called it like Walt's Connection or something like that. So every single attraction displayed on this, it's missing some, of course, today, right? This is not going to have Star Wars Galaxy's Edge in there or anything, but it was all the attractions that Walt had some kind of impact on. So indirectly, some of these came out after he passed away, but it was like all born in his mind. So like, let's say there was an attraction that came out 4 or 5 years later. They were arguing that, no, he still had an impact on this, right? Because he had this idea years before,
right?
And they finally developed it, what have you. So again, it's kind of a wonky map because it doesn't have everything on there. It's missing huge chunks of park, and it's kind of bizarre.
Yeah.
But it's really pretty. It's like animated in some areas. It
so
moves.
Cool.
Yeah, Caitlin got some really good videos, so we'll share those.
That'll be shared too.
Yeah, but very cool to see.
Yeah, I loved that part. Especially just seeing all the old rides, and
I know.
It was so neat. Another thing that I loved is there was a wall with almost mason jar looking bottles, you could say.
Yeah.
They were filled with paint that would use to color the animation cells in the cartoons, right?
Well, that's what the animation cells turn into, were cartoons.
Right.
Yeah.
So there, again, literally every color in the book was on this. So it was a really cool visual, and you can tell they've been sitting for a while because they're like separating.
They're all separated, yeah.
But there was one in particular that Caleb found. It was a yellow color, and it's labeled yellow 1.5 art gallery Donald set. Yeah. Which is what they use, the color that they use on Donald. And it was, again, just seeing that and like the writing on the jar. Yeah. I'm like, that is so cool. And
this is going to be a very dated explanation. So that's just what it was in the times. But that was what the woman did back in animation, was they were tasked with coloring every individual cell.
Are you serious?
I'm not kidding. Wow. Now, eventually, people wised up and were like, hey, you can be an animator as well. Yeah. But back then, again, things were very different in the workplace. Right. But yeah, they started off as everyone was a painter. And then I think they graduated into animating and stuff.
That's such hard work. I can't imagine having to do all that.
Hand painting every individual shot of an 1.5-hour feature film.
Well, and again, when you see the films, you're like, everything is beautiful.
Hand drawn.
So you're like, how did someone do this? But kudos to them, because I could never do that.
Unbelievable. Again, different time back then. It was kind of interesting. And they do have warnings throughout the entire museum.
Oh, yes.
Hey, things were different back then. Some dated.
Like a lot of things are sensitive.
Exactly. We understand that times have changed, but this is the reality of what it was back in 1952, whatever. Mm-hmm. So it's cool to see how we've evolved as people, and the Disney company has also evolved over time. They have a ton of vacation pictures of Walt with him and the family. And it looks like no matter what, again, I'm sure work got in the way. We like to idolize these people and they were better than they really were. I'm sure he had his faults, right? Mm-hmm. But it looked like, from what was communicated from Diane and the family, was that he continued to be a family man even when he was running a theme park, making feature films.
Right.
He still took time to take the family out to Europe, to whatever. They went to, where did they go? Oh, Squaw Valley, right here next to us.
For Christmas.
Yeah, they went everywhere. So it was cool to see him just go I'm still prioritizing family and hanging out with his grandkids and all that good stuff.
Yeah, there was a little excerpt from him quoting that was the most important thing to him, even though that his dreams were coming true with everything, with job and work related. Family was always first, which is great.
And that he made the park for his daughters. At the end of the day, this is for family. Right. So very cool.
Next up, another really neat thing that we saw was a Walt Disney Studios restaurant menu and a menu for the animation coffee shop. Which part of you, some of you are probably like, a menu, Caitlin? It was so cool. They had it up on display, and I took a picture of a couple things I could explain that. But on this menu, there was characters all over it. So there was Mickey, Minnie, Snow White, Monster the Whale from Pinocchio. But just seeing how much stuff was back then, I have a couple things. A hot roast turkey sandwich served with mashed potatoes and cranberry sauce, 35 cents. A New York cut, which, by the way, for all the steaks, it tells you how long it would take to make them or basically cook them. So for the New York cut, 20 minutes. $1.25. For Minnie's Delight, which is bubbling melted cheese with poached egg, bacon, and toast, 45 cents. And Stromboli's favorite sandwich, hot roast prime rib and beef with gravy, mashed potatoes, and vegetables, 35 cents. So anyway, it's just so crazy to me to see all these, again, how cheap it was. And just this menu, literally, it looks like it was plucked from time and just placed in this little...
See, this is what I took out of that, was that he was making themed menus before it was a thing.
Oh, yeah.
So he was making themed menus for his internal dining room, right? The, whatever.
Yeah.
What do you call that? Like commissary.
Yeah.
Right? So it's the studio commissary. Mm-hmm. It's where you can just come and it's internal facing. The public was not seeing this, but he made a themed menu for his staff. I just think that is so stinking cool. The guy was thinking like years ahead of his time. Absolutely years ahead of his time.
Yeah. Another really interesting thing I saw is for beverages, they offered Ovaltine, which is kind of like that chocolate milk. I think that's so funny because I used to want that when I was little.
What?
Yes.
You know what?
They rebranded, so it's still not. I don't know about anymore, but when I was growing up, yeah, they did. I promise you. You're shaking your head. Yes,
there's
they did.
Not a thing.
Yes, it was.
Ovaltine was not a thing when we were kids.
Oh my gosh, yes, it was.
You're not 50.
You're in denial. Your parents just didn't give you chocolate milk.
I was drinking that Nesquik stuff.
So for Ovaltine, for a pot, it was like 50.
I was drinking Ovaltine.
Stop. God. You act like he was born in the 1400s.
Back in my day,
Stop.
Okay.
On to the next. What else did you like?
So, right in the lobby, they have the original lamp and furniture that was in Walt's apartment. So, fun fact, the lamp that's shown right now in the window in the park is not a replica, it's actually a purchased lamp from that time period. It's just a different one, and it's green, kind of like this emerald color. That's there now. What they didn't tell you is that the original lamp is actually here at the Disney Family Museum.
Which is crazy.
So it's this really ornate red one. Again, I don't remember the company that made it, but it was very luxurious back in the day.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Very fancy.
Very fancy. And they had original tables on display, so very, very cool. Caitlin got pictures of that as well. Mm-hmm. And then I'll share my final one really quick. The Carrollwood Pacific Railroad. So that is, if you don't know, his specially made, custom made by him and his friends locomotive. Like he has a full-on train, scaled down version, of course, that he used to ride around his property. And the locomotive, which is the thing that powers it, right? The front, the engine,
right,
is called the Lily Bell. So before it was just a cabin or whatever you call it, right? One of the a part of the train at Disneyland. It was actually the thing that powered his little one at home. So that was cool.
Insane.
And we saw it in person.
And he would sit on it. And
it's there on display.
It's so cool. I got pictures of that too.
Feels like you can.
It's very long too.
Yeah.
It was really, it was
legit.
Next up for me, they had the old ticket books on display.
Yeah, so like the e-ticket.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to show you or go over a couple of the prices because it blows my mind of how cheap everything was. So there was one ticket that says it's for an adult admission for e-ticket rides. So just to give you an idea, for Tomorrowland, it states it's for the submarine voyage and the monorail. For Fantasyland, it's Small World and Matterhorn. Frontierland, it's Pack Mules, Sailing Ship Columbia, and Mark Twain.
The Pack Mules were an e-ticket?
The New Orleans Square is Haunted Mansion and Pirates, and Adventureland is Jungle Cruise and Tiki Room. Those were only what it was for, and it was 75 cents for that.
Wow.
So again, you know the classic ticket books that have like the D tickets, CBA, or E. They've changed it throughout the years, but they had one. It was for a parking receipt. It was 25 cents to park.
Okay, hold on. That's what I actually mentioned this later.
Yeah.
Or I was going to. He was charging for parking back then. So we think this is a new developed thing. Like, I can't believe they charge for parking at the whatever.
Well, no, it's not that, but it's like $95 to park
I get
now.
it. But again, I understand. I completely understand.
And we don't mind because we don't park there.
No.
So,
but I just can't believe that he was charging for like, oh yeah, the people will pay. And they paid.
And they did, 25 cents.
25 cents. So again, with whatever. Yes. They have definitely beat inflation with price increases, but I will defend them a little bit, and it's not really 25 cents today.
No.
So those are all the personal things we enjoyed from the museum. There's a ton more, but we have a limited time. So let me just kind of go through and tell you some things that we learned from our visit. And these are just factoids or little stories about Walt and the parks or whatever. And again, we'll try and get this through this at a reasonable amount of time, so we're not keeping it too long. But here's the first little story that I thought was so cool, that Walt was always an entertainer in grade school. This is a quote from his teacher. One day on Lincoln's birthday, Walt came to school all dressed up like Lincoln. He had a shawl that I guess he got from his dad. He made this stovepipe hat out of cardboard and shoe polish. Shoe polish. He got the beard. He went down to a place that had theatrical things to sell and purchased it. He did all this on his own. Walt said, well, it's Lincoln's birthday and I want to recite Lincoln's Gettysburg Address. He had memorized it. So he got up in front of the class and the kids thought this was terrific. So the principal took him to each one of the classes in the school and he recited it.
That's so funny.
I just love that again in grade school.
Excerpt, yeah.
And he was kind of like, yeah, duh. It's Lincoln's birthday. Why don't we do it? And so it shows his love for Lincoln.
Right.
Even as a child. And of course that evolved into great moments with Mr. Lincoln and Disneyland. You always go in there to take a nap, which is rude.
Okay.
You got to respect the original
Thanks for outing me.
qualities of
Jeez.
it. Well, I want to call you out here right in front of everybody. Another fun factoid, the front of It's a Small World was inspired by the Strasbourg clock, which is located in the Notre Dame Cathedral, and he visited there during his service in the Red Cross. So he was too young to serve in the military, so he got by. There's a whole story behind it, but his mom signing something to send him off, and then he erased his birth date and changed it last minute to make it.
He's originally born in 1901. So his mom, again, you had to sign a piece of paper with that. So he changed the 1 in 1901 to 0 in order to get in.
Yeah, he had to be 17.
Right.
And I think at the time he was 16.
So it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, fun fact. His first business, Laugh-O-Gram Films, went bankrupt in 1923, and it showed that he was really never afraid of taking risks. And he continued to do this throughout his life. For example, Snow White, he didn't have to make a feature film. That was him and Roy were doing just fine making these short films with Mickey, Steamboat Willie, all these things, right? What's it called? The Three Little Pigs, the sound ones. They called them something. I can't think of it.
I have no idea.
But they're making these short films. They were doing well. They were cleaning up, making a lot of money. And then he said, you know what? I'm going to take all the risk in the world. I'm going to mortgage my house. I'm going to sell this. I'm going to sell that to finance Snow White. And it paid off. Look what it did.
Yeah, it did.
All right. Another fun fact was Walt signed a 10-year contract for sound equipment with a company called Cinephone, and he didn't even read it. So there's this little thing where Roy's like, you didn't read the contract? And he's like, I wanted the sound equipment, you doof. And he was like, oh, my bad. But yeah, it just showed that he was like, oh yeah, I don't really care.
Well, here's one interesting fact that we did discover. Walt worked at Universal.
Well, he didn't work at Universal. He worked with Universal.
Okay, yeah. So Walt almost said worked with Universal at one time. He did Oswald the Lucky Rabbit, which was distributed by Universal, which is crazy.
Yeah, so they had the distribution rights for Oswald. And it was weird to see Universal. I had to kind of reread it a couple times. Are we sure they worked together? Sure enough, back in the, 40s, they worked together, or 30s probably. Here we go. This is a crazy story about, again, another moment of him putting it all on the line. This is a quote directly from Walt. I planned to go all out on sound. Those plans came very near spelling a major disaster for us. I had hired a full New York orchestra with the famous director to do the recording. The musicians were to cost $10 an hour. I thought 15 men would be enough, but the director insisted on having 30 men. Because I was awed by him, I was finally persuaded to take the 30. The upshot was that I had to borrow on my automobile, and Roy and I had to mortgage our homes to cover the cost of the first synchronization of Steamboat Willie. And when it was finished, the picture wouldn't synchronize with the sound, and we had to do it all over.
Oh my gosh, can you imagine?
Isn't that insane? So imagine, again, for a second, it's fun to read about this and go, oh, that's crazy. If we owned a home, if you and I mortgaged our home, took out another mortgage on it, right? So say we borrowed $300,000, borrowed money against the cars we have in the garage. So we're talking, let's say $325,000 all out, and put it all on something we believed in, right? We're going to buy all new podcast equipment and a building to record in. And it didn't work out for some reason. How upset would you be?
Well, very.
I'd hope so.
Oh, gosh, that would suck.
Right?
And again, this happened multiple times to him. This wasn't just a random, he had it down one time. There were so many different times that we read, this didn't work out, or this flopped in theaters, or it's not theaters, whatever.
It did. No, yeah, it did. He talked about Pinocchio flopping. He talked about Alice in Wonderland flopping.
Dumbo too, right?
Dumbo did, I think, a little better only because he didn't spend as much money on it.
Yeah, so it's just interesting. He had so many downs and still was just
kept going,
and now look.
Yep.
But yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, we got a couple left here. We've got another fun thing. So Disneyland was originally going to be called Mickey Mouse Park.
I'm so glad they didn't do that.
I know. That would have been so weird.
I mean, we wouldn't have known any different.
Yeah, but his initial conception or whatever was Mickey Mouse Park.
Can you imagine that? We're going to Mickey Mouse Park. Let's go.
I don't know.
Do you have magic keys to Mickey Mouse Park? You're like, no.
I like it.
One really neat thing that we saw throughout the museum was Walt's relationship with Lily. And Caleb read this one excerpt that basically said, Walt knew every nail in Disneyland. He loved to show it off to me. I remember when they were building the Pirates ride, he insisted that I'd walk through it with him, even though it was all dirt. He put a plank down over the dust for me to walk on because he wanted me with him.
Yeah,
and again, that was from Lily.
Yeah.
And it's just so interesting. When Caleb told me that, because I missed that one, I'm so sad because I love pirates. The fact that he wanted to show her pirates so bad he put a wood plank down for her to walk on in the dirt. I can just see that in my head. I'm like, that's so cute.
I know.
So
he loved the parks, and he talks about how, Lily was getting on me about building this theme park. It's going to be dirty. And he said, well, that's the thing. Mine's not going to be dirty. That's the difference.
Right.
And then he said, if I don't like something, Disneyland's clay. I can just remake it to what I want it to be. So we thought of it again. We always talk about, it's going to be ever changing. We're going to change and all this stuff. But he truly believed, again, deep down, this park's going to change all the time. Again, think of it at the time. So I just went on a trip with some guys to Santa Cruz over the weekend, a couple weekends ago. And we went to the boardwalk there, which is a classic boardwalk, one of the originals in the state. And they've got, I think it's called the Big Dipper, which is this old wood roller coaster. And theme parks back then, boardwalk stuff back then, didn't change. You just built it and it stayed there. And the concept of building something and going, we're going to tear a ride down once in a while, or we're going to add on to it, or we're going to build a new restaurant was just unheard of. So again, this guy was years and years thinking in the future and just ahead of his time.
Right.
So we learned a lot. Again, those are just a few things. If we had 4 hours to sit there and chat, we would. But there was a lot to learn. So if you have not been and you are within driving distance, or if you want to make a road trip out of it and kind of tour all of California, make your way up to Northern California, if you're down in Disneyland, definitely stop by the Walt Disney Family Museum. It's worth every penny. How much did we spend to get in there?
Well, normally I think the museum costs $25 a person to get in.
Okay.
We did. They normally throughout the year will have different exhibits that you can pay. I think it's an extra $10 a person.
Okay.
So while we were there was a Jungle Book exhibit that we went through, which we loved. And again, it's all about the making and animation and everything involving the making of Jungle Book.
Yes.
So normally it's $25. With that, it's $35 a person if you do the exhibit.
So with everything you can do at this museum, it was $70 out the door for two people. It is a steal.
Oh, I loved it.
It's amazing.
I highly recommend. And again, it's beautiful. And if you're Disney freaks like we are, go do it.
Yeah.
It's so fun.
Very fun. All right. That brings us to the end of our episode. Thank you so much for listening. You can find us on Instagram at Market House Podcast and on Twitter at Market House Pod. Again, follow us over there for updates from us. Caitlin does a fantastic job. She just did a reel showing how the churro toffee was made.
So
delish.
good.
It made me starving instantly.
I need to get it.
I know.
Our next trip, it's coming up.
I'm going to buy a lot.
Which, stay tuned for that, by the way. We have an upcoming trip coming soon.
And fun, not really fun, actually.
What?
Just a side note.
Oh.
I've got a couple side notes. First one is we apologize. We skipped trivia this week just because we had a lot to cover, and we'll continue it next week. But we had a lot of news, a lot of Marvel stuff coming out. And, of course, we wanted to tell you about the museum.
Right.
So we didn't have time. So, again, sorry about the no trivia, but we will do it again. Second note, we got home. So I grabbed, story time. I grabbed two little shoe. I can't talk. So when we travel, we have these little shoe bags.
Yeah, to put in the suitcases.
So they're not sort of gross feet. Shoe things aren't touching your clothes, which is so. I can't believe people pack without these things. But
especially at Disneyland all day.
I know.
Oh.
So we have these little shoe bags we put in. So I was grabbing them out of our suitcases because we were going to Muir Woods and we needed to change our shoes.
Go hiking because your shoes get really dirty when you go on a hike in Muir Woods.
Yeah, filthy because it's all dusty and stuff. So I was bringing these with us, and I wasn't even rough with it. I was rolling our suitcase back into the closet, and the shell cracked.
Okay, and we're gonna pause right here.
I was like, "What,
Caleb?" Our suitcase, we've had it for a few years. I'm pretty sure, if COVID didn't happen, it would have broken a long time ago.
Yeah.
But since we took a break in traveling, the suitcase has been an issue since day one. The zippers on it were terrible. So actually today I put up on our story, we've been looking at all these different suitcases and everyone's talking about a way the Way suitcase brand.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so I put up on our story like, hey, does anyone own these? Like, are they worth it? We had a couple responses, but we're in the market for new suitcases.
Yeah.
So wish us luck because our trip is coming very, very soon.
Yeah,
So
I'm happy it, I guess, did it now. So we weren't, like, it wasn't a day before we were traveling. I'm like, well, we don't have luggage.
Yeah.
So,
yes,
yeah. I guess don't lean on your suitcases.
You didn't even lean on it.
I
It's
know.
just,
It
I'm
was-
glad it happened when we were at home and not on the trip.
Yeah.
But speaking of trips, like I mentioned, that one's coming up very soon. And we have a ton of Disney trips coming up. So stay tuned. Thank you so much for listening. We will talk to you very soon.
Bye.
Bye.